Well, they tried. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 disappointing games of 2017. Before we begin, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we'll be looking at the games that we had high expectations for, only to be let down by the end product. Now, these aren't necessarily bad games. Some of them are actually a lot of fun, but they just weren't as good as we'd hoped. Yeah, you can't win them all, I guess. Number 10, Friday the 13th, the game. We know. Video games based on movies generally don't work out, but how can anyone not be interested in a game that lets you take control of one of the biggest horror icons of all time? That is, of course, assuming said icon is at his best. This was a chance to see Jason Voorhees get the video game treatment he deserves and wash out the sour taste of a certain other Friday the 13th title. Rest assured, the game is definitely better than that mess, but it's also plagued with bugs and server issues that are just as noticeable as that extremely killable couple having sex in that tent. Number 9, Valkyria Revolution.
I'm honored that you've graced me with some of your time. I know you're a busy woman.
Nay, the honor is all mine. Thank you for this opportunity.
When it comes to tactical RPGs, the Valkyria series is a pretty good choice, which makes this release even more disappointing. There hasn't been a Valkyria game released on consoles since 2008, as it moved to portable gaming units for Part 2 and 3. Hell, Valkyria Chronicles 3 didn't even come to the US, so we were pretty excited to finally have a Valkyria game on console, even if it was technically considered to be a spin-off. Unfortunately, it turned out to be the worst one in the series due to translation issues, terrible pacing, and boring hack-and-slash mechanics. Maybe it'll get the respect it deserves in the next decade.
Please look forward to it.
Number 8, Gran Turismo Sport. It was only a matter of time before the Gran Turismo franchise made its debut on PS4. We just wish we had nicer things to say about it. Yeah, it's really visually impressive, and it's fun to pick up and play, but why do you have to play online? And what's with the smaller selection of cars? When your game's predecessor offers over 1,000 options, it's pretty dismal to see the list trimmed down to below 200. It's not just the garage that got a downgrade either. The number of tracks took a hit as well. Unfortunately, this just isn't the best way to premiere your exclusive racing series, Sony. Number 7, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Fans already smelled trouble as soon as those character models were revealed. This newest installment to the franchise feels like an attempt to become part of the MCU instead of being, the over-the-top fighter that it should be. There's even fewer characters than the last game, to the point the characters who show up in the story mode aren't even on the roster. Unless, of course, wait for it, you shell out money. Also, why did they refuse to go back to 3-on-3 combat, and what's with the push-button combos? It's like they heard all the complaints with the last game and just said, hold my beer. Number 6, Warhammer 40k, Dawn of War 3.
It's a race to the pointy stick. You know what that means, don't ya? Let's war!
Oh, Warhammer, we can always count on you for the very best in MOBA gaming. Wait, what? Wait, we meant to say real-time strategy, because that's what Dawn of War is known for, right? Possibly the most divided opinion between critics and gamers this year, the latest installment in the Warhammer franchise attempted to blend the two genres together. What we got was a pale imitation of the classic franchise that missed the mark with its fan base because it was too busy trying to appeal to a market that already has enough MOBA games. Word of advice to the next game: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Number 5, Middle-earth Shadow of War.
If I'm right, we win this war.
The Tolkienverse, full of magic, wonder, and loot crates. We know we want our sequels to include something new, but this isn't exactly what we had in mind. In all honesty, Shadow of War is a great game. The world is bigger, the Nemesis system has been expanded, and shaming your orcs will always be morbidly entertaining. But the way the endgame has been stretched out to encourage you to buy loot crates is basically unforgivable. Technically, you can skip over them, but there's something to be said about having microtransactions constantly waved in front of your face, especially when you're almost at the end of the game. Between the loot boxes and the overly bloated early game, Shadow of War is not quite the sequel we hoped for.
This is about restoring order to Mordor, to all of Middle-earth.
Number 4, Lawbreakers. This game is actually damn fun, but yeah, there's always a but, isn't there? Hey, at least in this case it isn't microtransactions. Instead, it's the fact that no one is technically playing it. This kind of FPS team gameplay is all over the place these days. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does mean that your game has to stand out among some pretty tough contenders. Sadly, Lawbreakers failed to garner enough interest, and when your game depends on teams of players being online, it quickly loses its appeal when no one's picking up the controller. Here's hoping they can get some gamers on board next year. Number 3, Ukulele. It breaks our nostalgic little hearts to have this one on the list. Fans of Banjo-Kazooie rejoiced when they saw the Kickstarter to this game, as it captured the feel of the classic title and was as close as they were going to get to Banjo 3. And no, nuts and bolts does not count. After an overly successful campaign and years of waiting, the game was finally released, only to receive kinda mixed reviews. Yeah, it nails the overall look and feel of Banjo, but it doesn't really add anything new and kinda keeps some of the bad. We're left with poor camera angles, repetitive gameplay, and only 5 worlds to explore. Number 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Everyone get to feet as quickly as you can. We may have the means to stop this.
Come on! Come on! The last one was bad, but you just had to make more content and not ruin it! And you ruined it! The loot boxes and the progression system and the stupid battle points, and just we would have given you our money. We wanted to give you our money. We wanted a good Star Wars game, dude.
The Empire's time has come.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few dishonorable mentions.
We are ghosts, and we do not exist.
Number 1, Mass Effect Andromeda.
She's whatever she needs to be to stay in power.
The original Mass Effect trilogy has become one of the most iconic game series of all time. So, news of another game garnered some well-deserved excitement. Sadly, Andromeda pales in comparison to the original 3, and not just because our beloved Shepard isn't there. It just doesn't hit the same notes as its predecessor, and the bugs during the release certainly did not help. The game is fine, but something like Mass Effect should be well beyond fine. We know that asking for perfection in part 4 of a series might be expecting too much, but this is a very sad note to leave the series on.
So, are you mad, Ryder?
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.